The days are longer, the calendar is filling up, and I want to feel as good as this beautiful summer weather. That's why I've been loving Groons. It's one daily pack of gummies that covers my greens, vitamins, and minerals, and even has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. So I don't need to juggle a complicated wellness routine on top of everything else. They taste amazing. They're easy to toss in my bag on the go. Plus, they're vegan, gluten-free, and HSA, FSA eligible for reimbursement. Save up to 52% off with promo code podcast at Gruns.co. That's code podcast at GRUNS.co.
Welcome to the Viking Update Show. This is an Alec Lewis edition of the Viking Update Show. The usual suspects, John Krawczynski and myself, are here. Alec joins us periodically, and Alec, of course, does his own show here at TalkNorth.com, and you should definitely check it out. Alec's out there working hard on the beat every day. John and I are bringing more of the historical perspective to the Vikings, and the Viking Update Show is presented to you by Onyx Hunt, and we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio. We have no choice but to start with the quarterback room. John and I have talked about the fact that we both believe, most people I know believe, that it's Kyler Murray's job to lose, but now they are splitting reps. Alec, just take us through all of this, if you would.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with the fact that I've only seen 3 practices. So, and it's, practices without pads and typically without offensive line and pass rushers. So the analogy I've used has been like it's the equivalent of watching PGA Tour pros hit on the driving range. And so that's the important context to all of it. But I'd say on the field, they both had good and I'd say less so days. And specifically Kyler Murray on Tuesday, it was the clear of the practices we've been out there, the clear, down performance from him. He threw 2 straight interceptions. The first looked like a miscommunication. The second was a deep ball that looked like he overthrew. And then after practice, he talked a lot about the difficulty of learning this system thus far and the challenge that splitting reps intertwines or coincides with that difficulty. And then J.J. McCarthy, for his part, I thought like he's looked pretty smooth. The mechanics have looked pretty smooth. The accuracy has been pretty good. I haven't seen a ton of deep balls or passes toward the sideline. So I, look forward to every day being out there watching more of that. But it's been an interesting one. There's been a lot of noise with every practice, with every comment and media session that these guys have had. And then the Vikings have kind of, shown that they are okay with the noise, thinking that it will maximize in the end what this team is capable of in 2026.
Alec, the thing that is obviously really interesting right now is that kind of performance at the podium as much as anything. And, you hear Kyler say the other day that, he I don't know if it was complaining about splitting reps, but at least like saying, hey, it's a little bit more of a challenge. And how did you interpret his comments there and just talking about, the challenge of having to learn a new system while splitting reps the way that he is?
Yeah, I thought of it in a couple of different ways. The first part is he had just thrown 2 interceptions in 7-on-7, so I'm sure in his mind that probably hasn't happened a ton to him in his life. So he's probably, sorting through ways to explain why that might have happened. On the flip side, this system, has been widely understood as incredibly complex, going back to when Kevin O'Connell first got here. You guys will remember even more than I will because I didn't experience that spring and summer with Kirk Cousins, but the complexity for him and the challenge for him of learning this system. And Kirk is a smart guy. Kirk is a guy who had been in more systems and more complex system than Kyler has. And he took 100% of the reps. And then Sam Darnold had been with Kyle Shanahan, got here, and even he talked about, the undertaking that it was for him. And so it's hard for me not to put that into perspective and think that there is not something to the fact that only taking half the reps definitely, challenges the runway a little bit. So I can see a lot of sides of those comments, but you're right, John, like the layer of this competition that has been the public facing aspect of it, where you've got 1 week JJ McCarthy saying these two guys in the classroom on each side, and then the next week you got Kyler Murray saying this, and the virality of all of this stuff. It just kind of makes me wonder, like, is this the best path for the team and for like the ultimate ceiling of what 2026 can be? And maybe it ultimately shows to be, but there's just been a lot of noise, and you just wonder. I remember 2024 with that team going into that season, there wasn't really much noise. There was like an undercurrent of underdog within the team, and they were very quiet and very under the radar. And then that team accomplished what they did. Whereas this go around has been a lot of eyeballs drawn to it. And I don't know. And I'm curious to see if that's necessarily a good thing or not.
Yeah. My big picture review of it is, if they signed Kyler Murray to not be their starter, they made a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be curious John's perspective on that. Around the league, I can just say this. Like, when Kyler Murray was signed, it was abundantly believed from everybody throughout the league that he was going to end up being the starter. And I would say, there hasn't been a ton to shift people around the league. My own opinion is what it is, but like, people around the league still strongly believe that Kyler Murray is going to end up winning this job. Now, they're not present every day. They don't have the context of what it looks like every single day, but it does become, and I wrote this for Wednesday at The Athletic, it does become interesting when they ultimately decide on the path that they eventually are going to take here, what happens from there, and how these personalities and their, representatives and all that feel about things does raise interesting questions. And I don't know. I just continue to think, like, man, it must be nice in Chicago after all of the years that they've lived this to just know what it's going to be. And I know that doesn't probably make Vikings fans feel phenomenal, but like it is. It's just been a lot. It really has to watch every single day and observe.
Yeah, I think for me, like, looking at it, if I want to look at this in a positive way or frame it that way, I do think that one of the goals of Kevin O'Connell, of the Vikings right now, is to make sure that Kyler Murray doesn't feel comfortable. I think that it seems clear to me that we have heard all of the stories of Kyler in Arizona, and does he devote as much as he needs to the game? Is he taking this as seriously, and all those things? And maybe some of those things were overblown, but they are part of the evaluation process for him. And so, if you have another top 10 and NFL draft pick guy who the organization has been invested in right behind him or right alongside him, pushing him and getting some of those reps, maybe the belief is internally that, hey, Kyler, if you don't like it, go win the job and take control of this thing and make it yours. We are not going to give it to you. And, there are certainly many quarterbacks around the league. If you bring in a Brett Favre, if it would have been Aaron Rodgers, if it would have been, some of these more established guys where it's like, yep, this is your job. You take it and run with it. But Kyler has some question marks about him that I think it makes it okay for the Vikings to say, yeah, no, we still want to see it all the way through from June until August and September, and go earn it and win it. And then we'll get behind you. But if the carrot has to be dangled in front of his nose to get him to run, maybe that's the thinking here.
And I would say, Jim, and I'm sure you have a thought on it, like, Kyler said on Tuesday, he's like, I'm embracing the discomfort. And I think that's a great thing to say, but like showing that every day is probably part of this entire process. And on the flip side of it, like one thought in my mind is if you have to dangle a carrot in front of somebody at the quarterback position, like what does that say writ large about where you're at? I think all of those, perspectives, dynamics, the nuance of all of that, I think it's really interesting. And I can see and understand why Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings would believe that this is the best way to get a standard that they have looked for since Sam Darnold obviously departed and signed with Seattle.
A thought and then a question. The thought is, I remember doing a story on Favre in 2009, right at the end of the season. He played brilliantly that year. The regular season, probably his most efficient regular season of all time at a very advanced age. And I remember talking to him just about learning the system and studying on a week-to-week basis. And he basically said, I'm usually the first guy here. I'm usually the last guy to leave. And then I bring an iPad with me and I study at night and on the weekends. It's like he just never wasn't looking at football. He never wasn't studying something that could help him win his next game. And, you talk to people about Peyton Manning. I know people who coached Manning, I've certainly read the books and all the background on Brady. And there is an obsessiveness that accompanies success in the NFL. And as you said, it's got to be internally driven or it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I think like that's always been the thing with Kyler, right? Is like he has all of the physical tools and all of the ability. And I wonder when is the last time he was in a competition for a job, right? It's probably been 8th grade.
Maybe never. Maybe never.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly,
maybe never.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's possible that he has never been in a quarterback competition in his life because of how supremely physically talented he is. And I do think that there is got to be a part of him that says, man, my old team that drafted me number 1 overall let me go and is eating the money. I am playing on a minimum deal to try and reestablish myself as a player in this league. It's such a different dynamic than Darnold, right? Because Sam Darnold was trying to prove that he could actually do it. And Kyler has done it at a pretty high level, but now he's got to prove that he actually wants to do it still. And so in that respect, I just think like, okay, show us what you want. And, maybe there's a scenario where if he came in and was the number 1 guy from the start, maybe it doesn't go the way that the Vikings want it or the way that he wants it. Maybe he gets too comfortable. And it doesn't. And this is the way I think that the Vikings see to keep him on edge.
Yeah.
And that might be a good thing to do. And guess what? JJ McCarthy can keep you on edge as well with what he says, maybe with what he does on the field. Like, it's this, he has made it clear, like, no, this is a real competition. And I don't know that it's been sort of the niceties that you maybe would want to see, but maybe in the end, that will be an advantage to this as well.
And I think there is like sorry, Jim. I do think there's a realistic world where as much learning as Kyler Murray has done thus far, like maybe the role of the competition has gotten him to a place that he wouldn't otherwise be at if this competition didn't exist. So, look, this is something that Kevin O'Connell thought deeply about before they signed Kyler, while they signed Kyler, after they signed Kyler. I mean, this isn't a, fly by the seat of your pants type of situation. There has been a lot of, thought, intentionality put behind this. We'll see in the end if it does, benefit the team and the fan base that wants to see victories put up on a week-to-week basis. But there's no question that I think in some areas of this, it has kind of gone the way you would expect, hope, maybe want it to go in terms of, lighting a fire underneath all parties involved.
Okay, I have more questions and more thoughts on this, and we will get to those. We do want to remind you that the Viking Update Show is coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services.
Scott for Aquarius Home Services. Yes, we all love summer, but if your air conditioner's acting more like an oven than a fridge, now's the time to trade in and trade up with an additional $500 off on top of our summer sale pricing on a new cooling system from Aquarius. Enjoy a cool, comfy home all summer long. Schedule your free estimate today at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
We also want to tell you that the Viking Update Show is presented to you by Onyx Hunt. Spring is the right time to explore new water. Fish are moving shallow, activities high, and Onyx Fish helps you identify which lakes have the conditions species you're targeting, including weather tools to know when to go, not just where to go. It's only $34.99 for the year. Download Onyx Fish on the App Store. Go to onyxmaps.com/fish and fish smarter this season. Remember, the app does the scouting work so you don't have to. Again, onyxmaps.com/fish, only $34.99 a year. Thanks also to True Vision Institute, which is the reason that John is not wearing glasses today and I am.
Yeah, look at these two sad sacks with glasses right now on this screen.
I think the glasses work on Alec. I look dope.
Go to TrueVision.com, both of you, and set up your free consultation to go visit True Vision in Bloomington like I did 2 years ago now. I have had LASIK surgery. It's been one of the best things that I've ever done. I don't have to deal with the hassles of glasses and contacts. I don't have to keep re-upping my daily wear contacts and make sure I still have them. I don't have to make sure that my glasses are trendy and stylish and I'm on, with the latest looks and everything like that. I just get up and I open my eyes and they work. And so you go to True Vision, they will take care of you from start to finish. They will get you to the right vision correction methods for your needs and your wants, and then they will help you all the way through. And when you are done with it, you will be like me saying, why didn't I do this 10 years sooner? So go to TrueVision.com, True Vision in Bloomington.
I didn't intend this to be an all quarterback show, but it might end up becoming an all quarterback show because every time you guys say something, I think of another angle here. First one is Kevin O'Connell, and I say this with some affection because I have the same flaw. Kevin O'Connell is capable of overthinking things.
No.
Is he overthinking all this?
Well, I think I'd be curious.
I mean, this is a guy who will run a double reverse flea flicker on 4th and 1.
Look, I mean, I think, this whole season and this whole quarterback process will end up being somewhat, in some ways, some kind of data point referendum on Kevin O'Connell as the quarterback evaluator who has received the amount of an abundance of praise that he's received over his 4 years as a head coach. I mean, there's no question that this process and the results of it throughout the season are going to, speak volumes. And if the Vikings end up going 12-5 with Kyler Murray or JJ McCarthy, few people are going to receive the flowers that Kevin O'Connell will receive throughout this entire process. And if it goes poorly, like the same, I imagine there will be some semblance of criticism as well. But there's no doubt, Jim, that this concoction of this specific quarterback, competition has, there's been a lot of thought behind it, and we'll see how much that borders on intelligent thought versus, the overthinking part of it.
Well, the other part of it is, though, it is a direct response to last year when they came in and had a very thin quarterback room and no other option other than JJ McCarthy, and he had to work. And they got caught with their pants down with that, for sure. And so this seems like the correction to that is like, okay, we didn't have enough. Now we have maybe a plethora, and whether they're all great or not, we at least have a lot of options. And so in that way, I respect it and I understand it because there's not one quarterback in this room right now that deserves full faith that it's going to just work out no matter what, that you are the man. But they also have now several options where if one doesn't work, now you go to option 2. If this second doesn't work, you go to option 3. And at least you have a viable scenario for if this doesn't if it just doesn't go well. And so I think it feels like they're more prepared than they were last year at this time at a really important position.
Yeah, that's well said. I liked the signing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to change my mind on that. It just feels even more awkward than I expected. I expected it to be awkward. It feels more awkward than I expected. My other question is, okay, fine. We're in early June and they're splitting reps. If the plan is for Murray to be your starter and he's adapting to a new system, at what point do you have to give him most of the reps?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Go ahead, Alec. You go ahead.
No, I think it's a great question too. And I'd say, I've asked this question a little bit to people around the league just to gauge like what is the perspective. And I think you get different schools of thought. Some people would say that the reps throughout OTAs and minicamp only hold so much, like only transition so well to what it really looks like in training camp and in the fall. And so my opinion falls on it is once you get into training camp and really deeper into training camp, 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, that's probably where you have to, chisel it down to we're going to, maximize the time here. But I think for now, I still understand the perspective that they've taken in terms of splitting reps and allowing both guys to show the consistency day after day.
Yeah, and I will say that I understand Kyler saying what he did this week, because if I'm in a competition with someone for a job, I'm going to try to limit that person's opportunities to look better than me as much as possible. Like, I'm like, no, I need all of these. I need to write every game story. Like, there's no one else can do this because, like, I don't want anyone to see that, this guy might be a little better than I am right now. And so, I also think that I agree with Alec that, reps against air, I'm sure there's some value in just getting a little bit of muscle memory and going through the kind of what you need to do. But ultimately, if a quarterback cannot get ready with like a couple of weeks to go in training camp, and full reps in like a game or two of the preseason, then you're not good enough. Like, that's just that's the way that I look at it, is like, you can go ahead and study, go do after practice stuff, get extra reps if you need with some of the receivers when these guys break camp, and go away, go meet up with Justin Jefferson to throw, do whatever you have to do. But none of what is happening right now, in my estimation, should be a major hindrance on Murray or McCarthy in terms of them being able to be ready to be the starter on week 1.
Yeah, that all sounds very logical. And I always guard against making any judgments in spring training for baseball or OTAs or even sometimes training camp for the NFL. It can be utterly meaningless stuff. It's just you're feeding an audience. You want to find significance. You want to find storylines, and it doesn't mean any of them are actually going to matter once the real play starts. It's just that
I'll never forget.
Go ahead,
Jim. I'll never forget being in Cleveland for joint practices in 2024. And it was the day that Kevin O'Connell announced that J.J. McCarthy had torn his meniscus, and Sam Darnold got all the first team reps against Cleveland's defense. And it was as much of a mess on the practice field offensively as I can remember seeing since I've covered this team. And you're thinking like, JJ's hurt. There goes the franchise quarterback. Here's Sam Darnold. Ugh, like, what is this going to look like? And then the team wins, 14 games. So it really, like, you have to, and it's hard. It's hard. You want to, come away with serious and meaningful takeaways. But I do think Kyle Shanahan said it last year of like, it is such a blessing and a curse to have the media available for practices where it draws attention to the players in the games that everybody loves, but it also can prevent meaningful growth in some ways. So try to be mindful of it, and I've fallen victim to it.
My favorite thing is, JJ McCarthy went 17 for 19 today, and Kyler Murray went 11 for 18.
Please stop doing that. Whoever's doing that, please stop doing that.
We have had a marked change in the hierarchy because of like the completion percentage in this one joint. It was one OTA or this one mini camp practice. It's like, are we serious here? Like, can we slow down just a little bit?
Alec, tell us what else.
And there really is, like, in this era, it's such a fascinating, like, there's just no patience and everything is magnified. And maybe the social media ecosystem just draws even more, adds more gasoline to the fire that it is. But it is just wild to live within it every day. And I guess it's a testament to the interest in the league. But, I don't know. I'm sitting there last night thinking about what the practice was and the comments that Kyler made about splitting reps and how everybody's gotten. And I'm just like, it is June 9th. Like, what are we doing? So it's crazy.
I'll make my standard old guy reference. The league used to just shut down for months at a time in the summer, and they'd have it maybe one rookie camp, just to bring the rookies in so they knew where the facility was, and then they see them against it in training camp. And this is much better for growing the game and interest in the game. That was much more sane.
That sounds awesome. Like I would absolutely love that.
A couple more minutes, and we do have Alec this week. So Alec, just tell us, what else have you seen that raised your eyebrows or was worth even repeating during the practices you've seen so far?
Yeah, contrary to popular belief, there are 88 other players on the field. And so, no, it's been fun to obviously get to see guys back in the building who I've gotten to know well over the last, 3 or 4 years. That's been cool. But I'd say the biggest thing to me has been there is a very clear difference in the way the offensive line is practicing, working on a daily basis. And the best way to describe it is in past years, with some of these offensive line drills, it feels very methodical and very, I'd just say, slower. With these drills, I mean, it is all gas, no brakes, 100 mile an hour. These guys are flying off the ball. And I mean, you're hearing pads popping constantly, whether that's legal within the rules and what they're doing or not. I don't know the specific rules, and I don't want to get anybody in trouble, obviously, but it has been very intentional that those guys are setting a specific tone. I don't think that's a surprise, given they've transitioned offensive line coaches from Chris Cooper to Keith Carter and brought in Frank Smith. And I was talking to Aaron Jones about it yesterday after practice. And he's just like, there is a clear-cut, definitive different urgency with how those guys are moving that they hope will flow to the rest of the team. And I'll be just very curious come the fall, does that actually pay dividends? Do they call the run game frequently and in certain spots? All of those things we'll all find out together. But like, there is no denying that there is a difference there. And I think that's notable, at least from the perch that I stand or sit.
My favorite thing of this whole week has been everyone is hyperventilating about the quarterback situation. And Jim, you and I will wear it because this whole show has been about quarterback.
Yes.
But then we had the tweet yesterday of Alex like, you know what? I'm in on this O-line situation. I'm like, yes, that is my sicko, ridiculous football wonk, Alec Lewis, who is not getting seduced by the clicky, quarterback situation. He's diving in on the offensive line, and that's why we love him.
But it is like, no, it's funny though, because you guys will probably agree, like, the offensive line performance of this team
totally
is on the power rankings of what's important, like it is very high up there. So
Yes.
like, yeah. And I think some of it is, yeah, I mean, I'm also ridiculous, but also it's just like, you get fatigued of every conversation, every throw, all of that. And so I'm going to try my hardest to watch the other things. I'd also say, I mean, talking to Aaron Jones, he was really high on the rookie Damon Claiborne and what might be possible there from just like an explosiveness, athleticism standpoint. So, yeah, there are other interesting things going on. And the more you can kind of dive into them, the more it probably fuels my curiosity and passion than anything else. But
okay, next time we have Alec on the show, we're going to talk about guards.
Yeah.
Nothing but guards.
Backup defensive lineman too, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got people asking me yesterday about the holder and who's doing the holding for. I mean,
Let's go.
We are, yeah. I mean, it's freaking June 9th, but that's how it goes.
I love it. But hey, we can't complain about it. We do our shows year round.
That's right.
We got to have stuff to talk about.
Exactly
the NFL
right.
gives us stuff to talk about, and I appreciate that.
No doubt.
It's very true. They've done a really phenomenal job creating year-round interest, and for those wanting to take PTO for the first time in a year, it makes it difficult. But at some point, it'll happen.
Yes. Go away, Alec. I mean, don't go away for a long time, but go away.
Sure.
Go away for at least a little bit. Thank you, Alec. We appreciate it. Thanks to John for the TalkNorth.com. I'm Jim Souhan. We really appreciate you watching. We appreciate our staff at TalkNorth.com. Appreciate our advertisers. And we will talk to you again soon.